Thank you, and hello everyone. I'm delighted to be here with you this afternoon and able to share with you just a bit more about SCOTO, the Scottish Community Tourism Network. I wanted to first of all just do a bit of reflection with you. We've used the title Tourism, a Dirty Word or a Force for Good. We're very much in the realms of it being a force for good. And I think it's worth reminding ourselves that there's been a long-standing relationship between churches and tourism, where churches are visitor attractions. The Italian chapel up in Orkney, Iona Abbey on Iona, we're here in Paisley Abbey. Also, churches play an important role in events, and that can be recitals that take place in a place like Paisley Abbey, and also weddings that bring people to an area and use hotels and whatnot. But the whole point is that they're really part of the tourism offer. Also, ancestral tourism is a really big part of the Scottish tourism offer, and obviously churches and graveyards play a big part in that. The cradle rolls, the research that people do to find out about their ancestral history. But also products and experiences. We actually have got a number of pilgrim trails around Scotland, and I think it's worth reflecting that these pilgrimages arguably were one of the very first forms of tourism we experienced, where people were travelling and being welcomed with hospitality. But let's reflect on churches that are no longer places of worship. We've got the Tower in Helensburgh, which was converted into a cinema and digital arts centre. Ullapool Museum, it was the church originally, and it's now the local heritage centre. We've got St Margaret's up at Braemar, which has been talked about a number of times as a music and arts venue. The Glasgow Climbing Centre, we've got a climbing centre and a church. Cottiers in Glasgow, a theatre and wedding venue. Oranmore, a bar, restaurant and venue, and the Artisan Cafe in Tyndrum. Just examples of where churches have been converted into uses that have got a very strong tourism focus. So, tourism, a dirty word or a force for good. Clearly, tourism is a way of conserving our built heritage, of supporting arts and culture. The list goes on. Tourism is definitely a force for good, but it's how it's managed, it's how it's handled. You can't just, the classic build it and they will come. There needs to be a strategy behind introducing a tourism use into a building. So who or what is SCOTO? We're the network of community-led tourism across Scotland, and our purpose is very much about raising awareness of community tourism, but also growing it as a way of making our communities much better places to live, work and visit. So our vision is very much about every community in Scotland having the chance to get, to see the benefits of engaging with tourism as a force for good. Our mission is about the skills of the people involved, but as mentioned earlier, our ambition is to recalibrate tourism in Scotland. It should be delivering for our communities first and visitors second. I think that's a really important thing we need to think about in this day and age of responsible tourism. We do various things, and I'm not going to go through them in detail. Our stand's just behind me here, but we do a number of things, and we can support you in a number of different ways, so do reach out to us. But you're maybe all sitting there wondering, what is this community-led tourism that I'm talking about? There's two sides to it. One is where a community is actually set up a social enterprise or a charity where they are actually offering a service that might be 100% visitor-facing, or it might be partially visitor-facing, but they're offering a service that visitors benefit from. And the other is where the community has actually come together as a community to work out what they want tourism to be like in their community. And I'm just going to explain a wee bit more about both of these just to help you see where we might be able to help you. So, providing services, Kilmartin Museum in Argyll, that's a charity that was set up by a number of local people who were aware of the significance of their heritage in Kilmartin Glen, and set up the museum. They're charitable purposes, you won't be able to read them, but they're on the slide. They don't mention visitors in their charitable purposes, but without visitors, they wouldn't be able to deliver their charitable purposes, because it's the visitor spend that really helps them. And you'll probably all be aware that they've had a significant investment recently at their museum and their visitor-facing offer. Another example, I'm a trustee of the Calendar Youth Project, where I live. The Youth Project runs a hostel with pods. We do that so that we can offer modern apprenticeships to the young people in Calendar, so that we can retain young people in the village, allow them to get jobs in Calendar. But I'm the only trustee who's got a tourism background. All the rest know about youth work, they know about garden, they're looking after the gardens, the building. But the point is that we're running that hostel for the young people, for the good of the young people. And then another example down in Dumfries and Galloway, Wigton Book Festival, that's celebrating 25 years now, but it's a very good example where that was set up as a regeneration project, and it's visitors that have allowed Wigton to regenerate itself. Two buildings here, not all of you can see them. The one on the left is the building on the right. It's the same building, but it's through that Booktown and the Book Festival initiative that building has been regenerated. And it's just a classic example where tourism is a means to an end. It's allowing that community to be a much better place to live, work and visit. So hopefully you can see from these examples how we can help you. It's about helping you understand what, you might have visitor-facing uses you've got in mind. We can help you think through how they might work in your community and with your church. Also help you consider meanwhile uses. You might have a longer term vision, but could tourism actually be helping you in the short term? Could it be helping you raise funds as well? Revenue streams, there's lots of different ways that you can raise money through tourism, and again, we can help you scope them out. Look at your target markets. One thing you've got to think about is, do you have a market already on your doorstep, and what are they looking for that they're maybe not getting in your community that you could help provide? So it's just marrying things together, but operational models, we're just talking to someone earlier, you might want to have a cafe, but you don't need to run that cafe yourself. You could have a franchise where a local business comes and works with you. Just different operational models and also help with your business planning. And a big thing that we can do is identify examples from elsewhere where someone has done something very similar to you and actually help you with a learning exchange to actually go and see what they've done firsthand. The other thing I mentioned was where communities have come together to really think about the future of their community as a destination. And this is about the community interest and the business interests getting together and talking about tourism. And it might sound obvious, but it doesn't happen a lot. Everybody's too busy. And it's only when you do sit down and talk to each other that really quite insightful comments can come out, where you realise that there's a lot more you could be doing together. We did a roadshow 15 months ago across Scotland, and almost every community told us that tourism happens to us. They don't feel as if they're in control of it. And everybody's got a view in tourism. Again, you won't be able to read the slide, but everybody has got a view in tourism. They're usually an expert in camper vans, what they think of them. They're an expert in toilets. The whole list goes on. But the point is, if you don't talk to each other, you're going to have polarised views. And without talking to each other, we're not necessarily going to get onto the same, basically pulling in the same direction, which I think every community should be aspiring to do. And we've come up with a Press Pause programme. It came out of the North Coast 500. We were asked to come up with a way where some of the communities around the North Coast could have a more community-led approach to how tourism is being delivered. We've now done this in 30 communities across Scotland, 10 coming between now and Christmas. And it's all about helping, as I say, businesses and community interests to talk together about how they are performing as a destination. And it sounds painful, but we do a destination competence appraisal with them. And it's all about thinking about your accommodation, your attractions, your digital footprint, so many different things. There's 16 factors that we explore with you that help you see what you're doing well and what you're not doing so well. But the key thing is with what you're not doing so well, what could you be doing differently? And that's where we come back with a lot of advice on things you could be doing. No community scores green across the board, and I mean that no community does, because by green we're talking about the traffic lights, where green everything's going well, and red where it's going badly. That's Kintyre, where we did it with 9 communities, and they've got a long distance trail there, and 5 of the 9 communities don't have a good accommodation offer. There's something broken there, and that's really where Press Pause helps them think about that. The other thing we look at is sense of place and place branding. There are so many people out there probably selling your community, Visit Scotland and others, to the outside world, but is it the way you want your community to be portrayed? So we do work just helping you explore how you want your community to be seen by the outside world, looking at your unique heritage, what has made you the community you are today, and you can guarantee that the church will be a core part of that story. And really using that to then come up with visitor propositions that reflect that. The other thing is looking at tourism measurement. It's typically measured by footfall and spend, but actually what matters to our community and in calendar Young people matter, so let's measure the number of young people that we've retained in our community. We need to change what we're measuring in tourism, and we can help you do that, which will help justify your project. That's just, again, we can talk to anyone about this. This is the communities that we've worked with across Scotland, so just giving you a feel there for the spread. We may already have worked with your community. We would happily work with your community if this is something you feel would help your project. So press pause can really help with contextualising your thinking. Just where does your project sit within the wider interests of the community? How could your project really enhance your community as a destination? Also, by doing a press pause initiative, your projects, more and more people could be aware of what you're trying to do with the church, and you could get a lot more buy-in potentially from some of the businesses as to how they could support you as well. Better understand your fit with the current market. You may have a great idea, but if the market's not looking for it, you've got there's a disconnect there. So how do we make sure what you're wanting to do is actually what the market's looking for? So a number of different things there, just how we can help you through undertaking that press pause initiative. And really, if tourism is a consideration, what would I say? Come and visit us. A number of you have already, but we're just behind here. Come and visit us. We've got an inquiry form. You can join the Scotto Network for nothing. It's free as an individual, and that just gets you on our newsletter list. If you want to consider press pause in your community, come and talk to us, because there's ways that it can be funded. And we provide a consulting service as well, where we can help you with very specific parts of tourism in relation to your project. So that's me. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Very well.